This is 40K Today. 40K news so important, the Catan wants to bury it for another 60 million years.
Welcome to 40K Today. This is your daily 15-minute news, views, and interview show that covers the entire hobby of Warhammer 40,000. I'm your host, John Damaris, and today on the program, LVO runner-up Brad Chester stops by to talk new 40K. But before that, Tanya and Seamus got their first taste of Tabletop Simulator, and they swing by to share their experience. But first, let's talk about dune buggies. Our 40K Today poll question of the week, live on our Facebook page as of right now, is this. Whose buggy do you like better? The new Primaris buggy that was previewed or the GSC Ridge Runner? Make sure you swing by our Facebook poll just for the memes. I'm not kidding, folks. The memes are worth the price of admission. The prize for the best comment so far goes to Corey Hatch for this gem. If people don't like Primario, then they just don't have good taste. And it has a picture of the new Primaris buggy with Mario and Luigi in it. So it's pretty funny. Okay, Tabletop Simulator is getting more and more popular as a way to enjoy 40K during the pandemic and to connect with people from all over the world. The biggest issue is that it can be a little daunting to get started. Tanya and Seamus sat down with me and we did a Twitch stream teaching them the ropes. I catch up with them to find out what they thought of the experience. All right, everyone, I have a special treat for you. Some of our best and brightest people here at 40K Today who work very hard behind the scenes are jumping on for a segment. And we're going to talk about Tabletop Simulator because they both tried it for the first time and had a little trepidation. So, Tanya, why don't you go ahead and tell us, what were you afraid of before we even got there? Like, what were your fears?
Okay, well, first off, it technically wasn't my first time trying it, but it was my first time actually completing a turn on it. So the first time that I had tried it, I didn't have really any idea of what I was doing, and it took me like an hour to make an army, and I didn't know how to like move properly when I actually put it onto the board. And putting it onto the board was also an adventure. Um, so my trepidation was about, like, just actually getting there.
So basically, you didn't have a chubby Asian help desk, and that
I
was the problem.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
yep.
one of the things I'll say about TTS is that it has not a steep learning curve. It's actually not that bad to learn how to use it, but if you have somebody there to help you, they can shortcut you so fast into being comfortable. So anybody, and I'll give this offer to anyone that wants to learn TTS, hit me up. I will help you. I promise. So Seamus, let's talk about your experience. What were your fears coming into this, or did you have any?
I guess I was more just concerned about all the different components I needed to actually play. Because I had done some research before actually playing, and I knew that there was stuff you had to download that had the armies and the maps, and then there's the map, and you have to load it on, and it's just confusing. But
Right.
having you there to guide me through the process of where to download this, where to get it, join this Discord, yada yada, that helps streamline it a lot.
Okay. And I think the actual best part about playing on TTS is using the Battlescribe to TTS conversion. Do you guys want to share your experience? Let's start with Seamus. What did you think about that whole interaction? And maybe you want to tell the listeners a little bit about it?
Okay, so Battlescribe to TTS is this, I think you could call it a mod that someone made, where you make your list in Battlescribe, which everyone does, and then you can export that list and then copy and paste it into this TTS mod, and it'll just pull your whole list up. Perfect. Everything rank and file. Beautiful. There is some setup involved. It just involves dragging the proper model to it. So if you have like an intercessor, you need to drag it to the intercessor square. But once it's set, it's good.
And then what it does is every model now has a tooltip. When you hover over it, has all their stats, all their equipment, exactly as it was equipped in Battlescribe. So it makes playing the game so clean, right? Because you just mouse over a model and like, oh, this is the guy that has the relic. Oh, this guy is toughness 6. Like you never have that like, oh, I wonder what this guy's toughness is. I wonder how many attacks he has, blah, blah, blah. Tanya, what did you think of Battlescribe to TTS?
It is a game changer if you're wanting to do TTS, because what took me an hour the first time took like probably 5 minutes or less with Battlescribe to TTS. It's super
It is
convenient.
It is definitely a time saver. So it's interesting in that It's a tool that both saves you time in the creation of your army and does it better than you could ever do it yourself. So
It's true.
it's like the best of both worlds. Okay, so you guys, so we walked through getting, Tabletop Simulator set up, and there is a little bit of a learning curve getting everything installed, all the mods, all the models, all that fun stuff. That was a short period of time. We'll call it a half an hour. And then we did the Battlescribe to TTS, and that was like another 15 minutes. And then you guys got into the game. What did you think of the experience of actually playing the game? Tanya, why don't you go ahead and start?
For me, it was really cool to actually just get to sit down and play a game with a friend who's on the other side of the continent. Um, it's I play a pretty infantry heavy army, so um, getting the feel of moving my models and stuff, it took a little bit of time. Um, but I think with some patience and just knowing that I was sitting down with friends, it was pretty enjoyable experience overall.
So, Seamus, this not only was your first game on TTS, this was your first game of 40K, like maybe ever, but certainly in 8th edition, right?
Yeah, I'm very new to the hobby right now.
Yeah, so people that don't know, I know Seamus from War Machine and Hordes, and that's where we met when he was but a wee lass. And I found out he was a sound engineering student. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to be doing this 40K podcast, and you should come hang out and do it with me. And he was all for it. And now he's listened to enough of our podcasts. He's one of us now, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time.
We wore him down. So let's just really quick, because we're running out of time. Why don't you each of you give me a couple sentences that you would like to tell anybody that's considering getting into TTS? We'll start with Seamus.
I would say if you're interested in getting into Warhammer 40K, I would 100% recommend trying it out on TTS, because then you can try it out, see if you have a good time, get invested in something, try a bunch of different factions out, and it's all free, except for maybe buying TTS. And you get to connect with people all over the world, which is the best thing. There's a huge Discord with everything.
Tanya?
I would say if you're thinking about doing TTS, I would definitely reach out to John, or there's a number of really great Discord channels as well for TTS, and everybody's super helpful. So I would say don't go it alone, because that's what I did the first time and it was not an enjoyable experience. But when you have a friend there to help you through it, it's just a lot easier. It's more streamlined. And also, if I can do this, I don't do like any PC gaming at all. I've only been console. So if I can get this set up and running, then like anybody can do it.
Amen. If Tanya can do it, anyone can do it.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, if any of you need your chubby Asian help desk, I'm here for you. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. That was our own Tanya and Seamus of 40K Today talking about all the cool stuff they learned. Hopefully, you guys get a chance to try out Tabletop Simulator yourselves. Next up on the program, we talk to the old man himself, Brad Chester. Today's episode of 40K Today is brought to you by Frontline Gaming. Frontline Gaming is a one-stop shop for all your Warhammer hobby needs, discounted products, American-made gaming mats and terrain, and a full line of miniatures painting service and daily hobby content. And this can all be found at frontlinegaming.org. And welcome back. Brad Chester is a staple on the 40K scene and has been so for pretty much ever. He's a longtime fan and now is also a playtester. And although he wasn't able to share exact details, he gives us his impression of 9th edition and some tidbits of things we can look forward to. And let's just say, the future looks bright. All right, joining me today is the one and only Brad Chester, the oldest man in 40K. No, just kidding. That's probably me. But,
still me. I'm still older than you.
by like a year. So you're here today from the Art of War to tell us some coaching tips and to talk about, the new 40K, which is I think everybody's super excited about. And we're all just waiting, like, just give us the rules, GW.
So much. I'm going to talk about a rule today that they have released, which is the fact that the vehicles and the tanks, basically tanks, monsters, can shoot into combat. And I've been playtesting it a little bit, and it is a big, big deal. I think the meta is going to be, I'm super excited for the meta, by the way, because I think it's going to be wide open. But one of the things you're going to have to, I was just saying earlier before we were recording, that your mind says, touch that tank, grab that dreadnought, and I can only take X amount of wounds. That's not the case anymore, man. You're going to have to get used to the fact that these guys are going to shoot you in combat. Redemption Dreadnought, big tank, especially a Dreadnought that has combat, because you're effectively giving him free if you consolidate into him. You're giving him free attacks, and on his shooting phase, you're giving him his shooting phase dedicated into killing that unit. So unless it's something that you're okay with it just being deleted or just making it so he can't move, that is also a strategy in and of itself. But I've also found that certain times, like armies that you would never think that are going to want to get into combat are going to start grabbing units because they have an option for being there. Tau, Riptides are monsters. So are the Ghost Keels and things like that. So you can do things where you don't want someone to leave and go, perform that new action ability that they've showed in the things they've released so far.
So that brings me to a question. Do you think we're going to see like a more evocative form of 40K? Like, will tanks be driving across the table and running into things like a tank normally would, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about what a tank would do, that's what it would do, right?
The monster stuff, just yesterday I put on the board 200 monsters creatures. Just because we all owned them. If you played back in the day, and you played, everybody I think bought one Nidzilla army at some point in time, or one of their buddies did. So you know what I mean. But we had that, and I was sitting there, and I go, "What about just playtesting? An army with Carnifexes with double Devourers with Brain Leech. You know what I mean? 12 shots apiece, and use the current points. I don't know the new points at all. You know what I mean? So
right.
Just use current points to do it, but with the new monster rules, because that whole army didn't work because you could literally, put your middle finger on the Carnifex and just go, you can't shoot, and he only has 3 or 4 attacks. You're never getting a unit off you. But man, that dude shooting 12 shots in a combat plus his attacks is legit. They're not the end all be all. I don't know if I would make the tournament out, but like things like that can make a comeback. Different units, different play styles can then do something, because then you have the option, especially being weirdly aggressive with Tau. You know what I mean? Just taking the field and bouncing up and going, oh, I don't want this unit to leave next turn, so I'm going to grab them because I know that I'm not stuck, because I can just shoot them to death if they don't choose to fall back, kind of thing.
Well, also, like, it's a way for you to take something away from your opponent, because now they have the option of staying in combat with you and getting shot, or falling back and then not being able to charge, or not being able to shoot, or not be able to do both, right? Depending on what it is.
Well, exactly. And the thing is that let's just say falling back's bad. So, if you're locking somebody down, they don't get to do a lot of things. And if you looked at the new mission the mission they showed, which was mission 4, I think, to the towers, you have to actually perform a lot of actions to take your secondaries, and a lot of the secondaries they released. So they showed, I think, 5, and then each mission has its own secondary and stuff like that. If you're grabbing people, they can't go do what they wanted to do, kind of thing. So, because they're falling away from you. So It's a reason to play, but it makes it it's a more complex, more intricate way to play without, going, oh, I brought tanks and a guy touched me, so I was done, or my walking monster was done. Now you can be pretty dynamic in your move, and you have reasons to do things to shut things down. And then you also have the give take of, well, these new monsters and tanks are really good, but am I going to be able to take the objectives and interact with things? So now it gives one more variable for list design. And I really like that a lot. And I'm super looking forward to working with people as soon as 9th edition's out. It's so dynamic for me, because I want to help people with new lists, because there's so many questions now. There's just more. That's my thing, is it's a little bit more complex in just the answers, the questions you're asking, and giving answers for each one.
Yeah. So, I know you're a playtester and you can't tell people what they can do, but what you can tell them is the future bright for 9th edition? Like, because we asked Brian Pullen this question, like, how excited are you for 9th? Like, what can you tell people?
Psyched. I'm crazy psyched. I've literally since COVID quarantine broke for Ohio, and I got to start playtesting again, with my playtest partner. We've smashed 2 to 3 days a week trying to play, because I'm so excited about 9th edition. Obviously, I also want to get out of the house and do something, but we're just killing games, and I'm having such a good time playing. I think that it's new and everything, and it feels good, to play the new stuff, but the interactions are so much better, man. Just the tank things, the dreadnought things. It's just there's more things you can do, and I'm a list builder guy too, so I just enjoy when you go, hey Brad, you have to figure out how you can answer these 20 questions when it only used to be 10. You know what I mean? So I think it's exciting. The meta's open. So there's lots of things that are actually viable that weren't viable before. So I think there's a lot of armies. I think we ended the tournament scene at a bad place, and we're showing up at a great place because they did that balance change right after LVO, which I think changed a lot, made things a lot better. And then we have an addition that makes a lot of the bad things good things. So I'm super excited. Good.
Everybody's got a psychic awakening by the time 9th rolls around, or mostly, I think.
So everybody will. And then you got new stuff coming out for people that have, there's the Silent Kings coming out. They've already told you that. That's if you're a Kron guy, that's a huge thing, man.
I've heard the Necrons are quite good. I've heard that through the grapevine. So you can't comment. But.
Yeah. I'm just saying that I know a couple of my buddies play Necrons and they keep bugging me about it. And I just go, how about this? You're going to be happy with your codex. I think you're going to be happy. How about that?
You can't ask for that. So I guess we'll leave it with that. The future looks bright.
Oh, yeah.
That's Brad Chester. And I hope now you're as pumped as I am for 9th edition. Sounds an awful lot like Necron Christmas to me, which I think everybody would approve of. Ooh, it's that special time in the show. It's time for Model of the Day.
It's the model of the day, the model of the day, the model of the day.
Today we feature a beautiful Space Wolf Impulsor painted by Scott Rumpel. Scott has gone away from the standard blue-gray we often see with Space Wolves. Instead, he painted a stunning neutral gray with battle damage and astounding highlights. The yellow details are crisp and rich, and don't forget to look at the small details too, like the radar screen. Even the base has been given love and attention. Now, if you have a model that you think we should feature on the show, or you've seen a model, let us know by either contacting us on Facebook at 40K Today, or use our hashtag on Instagram, hashtag 40K Today, and we'll find it. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. A big thanks to our content producer, Alex Boehner, our social media superstar, Tanya Gates, and our technical producer, Seamus Ronan, for all their hard work once again in putting the program together. If you like this show and want to do us a solid, we would love it if you left us a review on your favorite podcast aggregator. That helps us get found by other people. We'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, for the 40K Today team, I'm John Damaris, and that's what's happening in 40K Today.